How to make a story that is interesting step by step. The Anatomy of Story, 22 Steps to Becoming a Master Storyteller by John Truby is one of the most important books about storytelling. John Truby is a famous American who writes, directs, teaches, and writes about movies. Over the past 30 years, he has worked as an advisor on more than 1,000 film plots. He is also known for creating the screenwriting software program Blockbuster, meaning Storyline Pro. This book gives tips on how to make stories that people want to listen to. It shows 22 steps that are important for making good stories, making it an important guide for writers, directors, and other people who tell stories. Here is a summary of its main points. The main idea of the book is that structure is important and that Truby goes beyond the standard 3-act structure to give a full method to story creation that is based on spontaneous storytelling. He thinks that a good story grows from the inside out. This means that every part of the story must fit together and work well with the others to make a complex and well-balanced whole. There are 5 main rules to follow when writing a good story. Principle 1. Truby says that starting with a good assumption is important. It's the starting point for the story. It sets the mood, shows where the story is going, and is the main idea or thought that the whole story is based on. To get people's attention, the idea should be interesting and unique. In the story, The Lost Heir, a young prince finds out that he is the true king of a powerful country because he has a secret family history. As he deals with dangerous allies and struggles with his own doubts, he must accept his new identity and lead his people to take back their land from a cruel invader. This is an example of a good starting point. Principle 2. Structure is key. The idea that the 3-act framework is too simple is proved wrong by Truby. He says that it is important to understand and learn the framework because it is the backbone of the story. Structure helps organize the parts of a story so that they work well together and make sense. The structure is important, and the story The Lost Heir shows why. As a young prince finds out about his secret family history and fights to get back his kingdom, the story's order of events, character growth, and thematic depth all come together to make a compelling and memorable story. Principle 3. Character is story. Characters are not just things that happen in the story, they are the story. They want things, have needs, and change over time. The story moves forward based on how they change and grow. It's important to make people with flaws and a lot of depth. In The Secret Agent, a frustrated spy is pulled between his country and his own sense of right and wrong. As he joins a dangerous terrorist group, the story is driven by his inner battles and changes as a person. The story is shaped by the decisions he makes and the problems he faces. This shows the idea that character is story. Principle 4. Theme. A strong theme or lesson is at the heart of every great story. It is the main point of the story and gives it depth and meaning. The theme should be connected to the characters and plot in a way that makes the story flow as a whole. Principle 5. Conflict and opposition. According to Truby, conflict is what makes a story interesting. It builds up stress, moves the story along, and keeps the viewer interested. There needs to be both internal and outward struggles for the characters to be challenged and for change to happen. In the story The Forbidden Forest, a young explorer must get through a dangerous forest full of magical creatures and dark magic to get a powerful artifact and save his town. Along the way, they run into trouble with another traveler, who wants the item for their own bad reasons. The stress and drama come from the conflict and resistance, which push the main characters to their limits and show how strong and determined they really are. There are 4 important parts to a good story. Part 1, Plot. The plot is the order in which things happen in a story. Truby shows how important it is to build the story around how the people change and how the theme develops. A well-made story is unpredictable, has a clear chain of events, and gets more and more complicated until it reaches a conclusion that is both shocking and obvious. Part 2, Setting and world building. Another important part is the world in which the story takes place. It's not just a background, it has its own life and affects the people and story. Detailing the world makes the story more believable and pulls the reader deeper into the story. Part 3, Dialogue. Truby wants a conversation that is short, clear, and shows who the characters are and what's going on. It should show how the characters talk and move the story forward by showing what drives them, what they want, and how they fight with themselves. Part 4, Symbolism and Imagery. These are ways to show greater meanings, show themes, and make people feel something. They add to the story by giving more ways to understand it and making the whole thing more interesting. In the story, The Forgotten Key, a young scholar goes on a dangerous trip to find a hidden temple and learn its secrets. As she avoids dangerous traps and finds old artifacts, her conversations with a wise guide teach her more about her own past. The setting is made even more mysterious and exciting by the use of symbols and vivid descriptions. Truby lays out a 22-step structure to create a well-rounded story. 1. Self-revelation, need, and desire. The main character should have self-realizations that come out of their needs and wants and lead to a moral choice or change. 2. Ghost and story world. The hero's ghost, horror from the past, affects their needs and wants, and the story world should show this. 3. Weakness and need. Start by writing down the hero's flaws to figure out where they need to grow. The thing that gets the main character to act and shows what they wanted in the beginning. 4. Inciting event. Describe the main character's clear goal that drives the story. 5. Desire. Create figures who help the main character in their journey. 6. Ally or allies. Describe the main things that are working against the main character and causing conflict and stress. 7. Opponent and/or mystery. Describe the main things that work against the main character and cause conflict and stress. 8. Fake ally opponent. A character who looks like a friend but is against the main character's goal. 9. First revelation decision. A big surprise that changes the main character's or the audience's view of something and leads to a crucial choice. 10. Plan. The main characters plan to get what they want. 11. Opponent's plan main counterattack. What does the enemy do to stop the hero? 12. Drive. A set of attempts by the main character to reach their goal, despite growing problems. 13. Attack by ally. A time when a friend of the main character questions them about a flaw or need. 14. Apparent defeat. A situation in which the main character seems to have lost everything. 15. Second revelation decision. A big surprise that changes what the main character or the viewer knows and forces them to make a crucial choice. 16. Audience revelation. A reveal to the viewers that builds drama by keeping it from the main character. 17. Third revelation decision. A new piece of information and choice that sets up what will happen at the end of the story. 18. Gate, gauntlet, visit to death. The main character has to go through a number of final tests, problems or fights. 19. Battle, a final battle where the main character's goal is chosen. 20. Self-revelation. The main character realizes what they need and either changes or doesn't change. 21. Moral decision. The main character makes a moral choice that shows whether or not they have changed. 22. New equilibrium. The world's end state after the main character's trip. Truby says that a well-told story is made up of 22 steps that build on each other. They help writers come up with a strong plot, interesting personalities, and a deep theme that people can relate to. Keep in mind that Truby's method is more of a fluid guideline than a strict formula, so you can be creative and change it to fit different tales and themes. Each of these steps is a part of the story that adds to its structure, flow, and sense of unity as a whole. They are not hard and fast rules, but rather suggestions for making a story more organized, interesting, and logical. Step-by-step instructions. 1 to 6 set up the main character, including his needs, wants, weaknesses, and the world he lives in. It lets the viewers know who the main character is, what he doesn't have, and what he wants. 7 to 12 are about how the story's struggle grows and how the main character changes. It's where the main character faces problems and meets friends and enemies, makes choices, and has his or her wants and goals change. 13 to 18 are about how both the heroes and the enemy's plans and defense play out, leading to what seems like a loss and then revealing changes in the character's wants and motivations and pushing him towards an intense drive. 19 to 25 make up the conclusion and ending of the story, where all the different parts come together. There are revelations, fights, moral choices, and the character's own self-discovery, all of which lead to a new balance. In the story The Enchanted Mirror, a young artist finds a magical mirror that shows him a world of creation and fantasy that he had never seen before. As she travels through this magical world to learn more about it, she meets both friends and enemies who test her artistic skills and force her to face her darkest fears. Through a number of discoveries and choices, she has to go through a set of tests and problems before she can learn art and find her own creative style. The story is based on the 22 steps, which gives it a strong framework and interesting character paths. The Anatomy of Story is a complete guide to excellent storytelling that goes beyond standard ways of putting together stories. Truby's focus on how story elements are linked and his thorough 22-step method offer writers a deep and complex understanding of story design, character development, and theme depth, which helps them make stories that are powerful and memorable. Truby's work has been called revolutionary for its deep understanding of how stories work. It gives both new and experienced writers important views and tools for making stories that are interesting and engaging. It's useful for all kinds of writing, so it's a great resource for writers, directors, and other artists who want to improve their skills and make stories that are captivating and last. Awesome! By watching this video, you've earned an additional 8 minutes of knowledge towards a better life. Keep up the great work. Kiwi Echo, lifelong learning. Please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and share your feedback in the comment zone.